Hello, welcome to today's astrology study group. And we are going to look at continuing our talk about elements and how we can use those to balance our health. I put together this little chart. It's kind of a remedy chart, but just something as a little keywords of the elements that we were looking at. We were looking at Diane Kramer and her kind of assessment in her book, Managing Your Health and Wellness. And some of the things that she was saying was dividing things up into like excess fire, excess earth, excess air, excess water, low fire, low earth, low air, low water. And the attributes of all those. So from there, we can kind of see that. We'll go look at some charts, or at least one chart in a little bit. But we can kind of get an idea of how to roll this out. And I was cueing you with just these few things. We can go even more. But if we just start looking at like excess of fire, and then I put herbs and like an action. I think we mentioned also that book of the Yoga of Herbs by Vasant Lad. And I can't remember the other person he co-authored that with. Vasant Lad, L-A-D. Dr. Vasant Lad, The Yoga of Herbs. Really good. One of the best ones that I've found that gives you a little synopsis of the herb, its properties, like cooling, warming, stimulating, moistening, nutritive. And it's very comprehensive, not too deep, not too superficial, and it's very easy to use. Nice little book. So in that, if you have excessive fire, you can look up cooling or hydrating qualities. You want herbs that may be both, just depending on how much of other elements are in your chart. If there's, excessive fire and low water, well, definitely, hydrating, moistening, as well as cooling. So you can kind of tweak those, but you can look up that action, and that way it's kind of, you're using that constitutionally. It's not just a fix of a current symptom, although it can be, but it can kind of be a constitutional remedy or something that you have around all the time, or somebody does, or somebody in your family or whatever. All right, the activity I put would be something, it's not all physical, what you put in your in your mouth and body. But there's things that you put on your body that's things you make yourself do and think. So an activity, something water related. So an excessive fire, could have something as simple as an aquarium. It could have, live by water. You could have, definitely a good water treatment facility. You have, clean, pure, structured water. That definitely could be done anywhere. And then if you, depending on the season and where you live, you can do other water type activities, swimming, boating, skiing of different sorts. So things related to water, fishing, something to slow down, the excessive fire, that testosterone or adrenaline. And colors, you can have the colors in your environment more. The opposite color on the color wheel. I was going to call that up, but I'll just go through these so you can see it, because they're close, and I'll show you my reasoning as I get through some of these. So excess of fire would be, really, stimulating, red hot. So something green or blue, turquoise, just kind of depending on there, but you're getting over into that opposite color side of the wheel. Food or nutrition, different foods that can also contribute to calming down the excess fire, because the fire is hot and it causes dehydration and the system to be, fast metabolizing, there's the word. Want to make sure that you've got plenty of greens or salads, cucumbers, watermelon, although those would only be in season in the summer. It's probably other things that you might do in the winter time, because some of those are definitely more summer related. So these are just some ideas, but different greens, bitters, food that has moisture in it. So that's the kind of like the point. These are some definitely cooling foods, but foods that have moisture in it. Not everything always cooked and dry and where there's no moisture and fiber and anything like that. So you want to have some moist parts of the food. If we could eat oatmeal instead of like oatmeal cookies or oatmeal bread, you could have I'm trying to just think of some things. A salad, with protein in it rather than just a dry, just like instead of just a sandwich. Or maybe you have a salad with your sandwich, or maybe you have a small soup with your sandwich. So this way you're getting some more moistening type lubricating foods, calming, cooling with the diet itself. Okay, excessive earth. Excessive earth needs to be stimulated and uplifted. It doesn't want to move. It wants to just kind of stay and be still and hanging out kind of. So herbs that are stimulating, herbs that are uplifting. It could be aromatherapy also, not just, drinking the herbs. It could be the smelling of these incense. There's lots of different combinations that are stimulating and uplifting, different scents. That would be really a good one. Activities, anything to get excessive earth moving. Movement. Once you get movement on any sort, rebounding, walking, treadmill, bicycling, whatever, dancing, so make it fun. I think you have to pull that excessive earth into wanting to do that. In breathing, the excessive earth is probably getting into shallow, just real even breathing rather than taking the deep breaths, holding that vitality into the lungs, getting the body moving, doing the positive breathing where you're holding it a little bit longer than you're exhaling. All right, opposite colors, earth colors would be, probably browns and greens. So I would want to go stimulating kind, reds and orange. Reds might be too stimulating and it may need to be like a little bit more orangey. So something kind of in there depending on how excessively earthy it is. And then meals, instead of being heavy, comfort food, they need to be lighter a little bit. Maybe smoothies, maybe blended drinks, maybe steamed foods, because that's going to bring in some more water as opposed to so much baked type food, which would make it more, earthy. Baked vegetables are real earthy. It would be steamed vegetables might be, or steamed foods might be a little bit better sometimes to keep it from being so excessively earthy. So the way you cook as well can add or detract to these tendencies. All right, excessive air. That is just ungrounded, right? It's, out there. There's just, there may be other qualities there too. There may be excessive fire and air. There may be, other parts, but we're just going with the excessive air. So air needs to be grounded. Herbs that are grounding and mineral rich, things that have minerals in them. Probably all types of seaweeds, probably herbs that have, structure like silica or, I meant horsetail, which has a lot of silica in it. What's the other one? Bladderwrack, kelp, sea vegetables, other maybe deep rooted plants that, have big, deep tap roots. I think when alfalfa is allowed to go, all the way, to the season to seed, it has a huge taproot. So it's able to go down and pull up lots of minerals, foods like carrots or beets, beets, beet leaves, beet tops, beetroot powder would probably be really good for excessive air. It's very mineral rich as well. A lot of minerals in beets. All right, activity. Something to ground you, walking, maybe doing pottery, where your hands are in the clay, something like that. Gardening would be great because you're putting your hands then instead of your head in the clouds, you're putting your hands in the earth. Color, I'm thinking excessive air would probably be light colors and pastels and blues and, real lights. You might need more earthy colors, browns and tans. If brown is too depressing, it can be, nicer browns, tans, kind of off white in not so much white, because that to me seems kind of airy, but like kind of yellows, tans. Yeah. And then food nutrition, the air again needs to be grounded. So thick, hearty soup is one of the things I was thinking of, where there's a lot of salty broth. The broth is, rich in good, healthy salt, good minerals, something like bone broth, where there's a lot of collagen and, the substance to the food. There's, you can just know that there's something there when you taste it. It's not chemicals in a box, something rehydrated. It's that substance in the food that is grounding. So it's real food, I would say, not just like thick, hearty soup, but that's where I was going with it. So real food, a baked chicken, baked foods, baked beets, baked carrots, baked root vegetables, things like that would be good grounding type foods. Use salt, good salt in your diet. Other mineral rich foods. Okay, excessive water. So the herbal actions and herbs you would want to be just like drying, and I would put stimulating, because excessive water can just get so watered out and muddied out kind of, and just yinned out. It's it needs to be kind of stimulated, like, hey, come on, snap to it. And drying, sometimes there's an area just has too much water, edema, or you just too blubbery or too jelly like, so that area, or tissue distension, so it needs to be dried out, astringents, or you could have excessive phlegm, too much water leads to edema, and then excessive phlegm and a lot of mucus. So that's what wants to be dried out in herbs that are drying, and could be stimulating too. Activities like sunbathing, getting into the sun, which is, warming and drying, and like dry saunas, are some of the, the best ways I'm seeing to, increase, that sun aspect. I was thinking there's different lights that you could get. There's infrared lights that you can put in your room. You can have them, as the bulbs. I think the best one is called a TheraBulb, THERA, TheraBulb.com. So there's a, infrared light that is penetrating into the body in a healing manner. And then there's also, different sizes of them that you can have around you and use, not only for healing, to penetrate in a swollen joint, a hurt rotator cuff, or it could be used to help, cognitive activity if it's shown at the head for anybody. But this would definitely go along with helping excessive water. And then the best color for that would be, something, because water is going to be a lot of blues and greens. So a better colors would be, I wanted to put dark pink, but I didn't have enough room on this line, something that's kind of stimulating, but not as stimulating as red. So I wanted to be like dark pink, or in the yellows would be good for excessive water. And the food and nutrition, because it's excessive water, the body's wet. Things like that are dry or crunchy, that could be dry would be like baked, baked chicken instead of steamed chicken, baked vegetables, that would pull some of the, the waters out rather than steamed vegetables. Like things that are crunchy, maybe toast, or toasted. It would be, because that's dried out. Things that are astringent. Astringent is that quality that makes you pucker, like when you bite into a unripe persimmon, or sometimes like lima beans, or baked potatoes have that astringent quality. You want to put something in it, something like fat, like baked potatoes. You want to quickly put salt and fat or something on that. It's that quality. It's drying and drawing. And then salt. also, the healthy salts, not in excess, but you definitely want to help pull that water away. But the astringents are what's going to dry it up. Okay, now on the other side, when we start going the other way, we did the excessive, excessive fire, excessive earth, blah, blah. Now we're going to go low fire, low earth, low air. And you'll probably notice, now I color coded these for you. So excessive water is like low fire. I mean, it doesn't always have to be that way in your charts. Like you can have excessive water and excessive fire. It doesn't have to always follow that. Don't get me wrong on that level, but it's just the quality of it, the way it works. If there's excessive water, there tends to be a low fire, because if there was sufficient fire, water wouldn't be excessive. Okay, so you'll find that these are kind of similar, but just slightly different. So a low fire needs to be stimulated, needs to be warmed, because there's not much fire. So the herbs, you would look up in your Yoga of Herbs book would be, stimulating herbs, warming herbs, could be ginger, could be cayenne, could be pepper, could be curries, that would be low fire, would be great to use a lot of curries in their food. They need to be stimulated. So exercise, which stimulates low fire, exercise stimulates the metabolism. That's what's nice about having a rebounder around, because you can go jump on it for like 1 minute and you've stimulated your metabolism. You don't have to go do 20 minutes or 25 minutes or an hour or something like that. So as you're walking by, after you go into the bathroom, you're coming back to your computer, jump on it for 1 minute and then sit back down. Something like that would help. And what else I was thinking before? Excessive air, going back up to excessive air, they would do well with routine. Okay, so that routine, I meant to say that there, no, you made me think about it, would be helpful for that. And then it would also go back onto the low earth, same way. So anyway, low fire, stimulating, warming, you want to exercise, and then sunning, I thought, because it would be warming the body. You could do those other methods that we were talking about with the red light, with the infrared light. But sunning is a way to increase that fire. Getting sun, having your house lit up, open, rather than just dark. All right, colors. Low fire, you need those reds or golds, the color of the sun, or of fire, of stimulating. Reds, if it's too much, you might want golds, or yellows in there to help increase that fire energy, or wear them or look at them, because it stimulates you. It's not all about just food and beverage and herbs. There's other things. And I'll talk about music in just a second, but I wanted to finish this line on here before I get distracted. Yeah, so low fire. Okay, so spicy food, that's going to stimulate the metabolism. Things, like stimulants, like coffee, yerba mate. It's a southern or South American tea, or it's a plant. Guayusa is a tea, and there's different mineral contents, but they're different types of caffeine, different than coffee. So some of these may be way better for people. Of course, green tea, but those would be stimulating a low fire. People that tend to be low fire. And again, music. I was thinking that also. Major versus minor keys. So a stimulated person, like an excessive fire, would, that they're going and that's probably more a major key. They could probably be pulled down and depressed a little bit if they listen to some minor key music, anything kind of sad. Okay. Low earth. Low earth would benefit, their herbal action would be from anything mineral rich or salty, because there's no grounding there. There's no earth. They don't have the minerals. So they need, they need to get the mineral rich foods. They need, boron, from borax. They need iodine. They need, all the trace minerals. They need the seaweeds, the plants that reach down into the earth and pull up a lot of the minerals, like we talked about the alfalfa root, or carrots, turnips, beets, all really good for pulling up minerals. they also need to be grounded, benefit from grounding, a grounding pad, a grounding sheet, a grounding, device to put in your bed so you're grounded all night. So every time you're sitting at your computer, something, you're grounded, and you can put it into a grounding rod, but that way you can get yourself grounded. And I was just talking to somebody that said that there's some grounding shoes or some kind of a device, the way to ground yourself. What was I looking for? Yeah, I'm trying to remember the website. Anyway, you can also be outside. Low earth people need to be outside. Maybe they need to be gardening, maybe, just to be outside also. All right, colors. Low earth would probably need to be having more earthy colors, or wear earthy colors, greens, browns, the maybe burnt orange kind of, the colors that, are gold, that looks real earthy. Maybe earthy smells and scents, like sandalwood, or amber, cedarwood, musk. Those are real kind of earthy scent. We were saying before, some of these, I didn't mention on all of the types of things, but you can have under the herbs, and herbal actions would have essential oils, because the scent and smells of certain ones would definitely quell or heat up the fire. Cinnamon and clove and spice would heat up the fire, where something maybe like menthol would calm it. Okay. All right, moving on. The foods for the low earth would be salty, of course, rich brothy soups, just kind of like what we talked about with excessive air. Things that have a lot of salt in them, miso, tamari, salt, pickles, fermented things, maybe that you make yourself, with your own brine. Other salt would be whey. Whey is also a extract from the cheese, but it has a lot of the other mineral profiles. Sprouts would be live enzymatic foods, which would be really good for the low earth. All right, low air. The herbal action I thought best might be mind expanding, because if there's no air, they're like either real grounded, real earth centered, or real, fired up, and they just maybe need to be expanded in the mind, where they're expanded or focused kind of at the same time. Just something to move the mind, to get it stimulated, because there isn't any of that. Breathing would be really good for low air, on yoga, because you're getting the breath with the body united, and starting that whole process. So low air is maybe not breathing real good. They're just they're too much into the body, or just not opened up. So the yoga, the breathing, the sky blue. I put sky blue because, again, they're mind expanding, in this, the color of the sky gets them to look up, and get more air movement, more upness, looking farther away than the cell phone, or the walls of their house. They need to expand, because there's not anything there. I put ethnic foods, because those are a lot of different tastes that maybe you haven't had. A low air person, it would titillate the taste buds, different ones that would be something interesting. Just going from one to another, explore some of that, watch some cooking shows, a cooking channel, or some cooking YouTubes, and kind of get yourself tuned into it that way. Yerba mate, again, or Guayusa tea, green tea. These are, all different, black teas, maybe coffee, just different blends of stimulating beverages to pick up the mind, to get that focused and moving. And then also essential fatty acids, the DHA, because it would help enrich the mind, and any of that, choline as well. Any time you want to enrich the mind, the phosphatidylcholines. Egg yolks are the best. The fish oils are some of the best, although there are some plant sources that are getting better. It's very rich in animals. So it's just the way it has been engineered that way, because when it's stored, the nature's done it that way because it's a stored sunlight energy. When you are at the equator, you don't need to have that type of food because you get it directly from the sun. The further you move away from the pole, I mean from the equator, more closer to the poles you get, the more nature puts the DHA into animals to store it. And then animals, that's that whole food chain. Fish, there's certain seaweeds, but it's certain plants, nuts, certain forms, have higher levels than others of the omega-3s, and your body can assemble the DHA from that. Anyway, that's another big part of helping the mind. And then helping hydration, anything that's dehydrated or need to be moistened. Sometimes it's not just the water. You need the minerals with the water. The minerals bring in the water. But there's also the whole element of having the oils. The oils hold in all of that, the water. You have to, that's that lipid layer. And having good quality fats to keep yourself hydrated is very important. We sometimes get too dry. We eat too much dry food. In the winter time, there's dry, forced air. We don't drink enough water. We're not eating enough raw or live food. So we're just getting more dehydrated, and we get, less of the good oils. So having that as another part of this whole process is important. All right, let's look at a chart. New share. Where is it? I'm going to have to switch screens. Hold on. Nope. Gotta call him up. Sorry, I thought I had Elvis. There we go. All right, now new share. Let me get Elvis. Okay, there he is, Elvis. So we're looking at a gobbledygoo whenever we look at a chart. Astro babble symbols. We just kind of do a quick count of what he has. So he's got Sun, Venus, Uranus, and Neptune all in Earth signs. So he's got 4. And I'm going to go with this as a good birth time, just because it's 4 a.m. there. I think for some reason it is, but we'll pretend it is. We have 1 planet in air. We have Jupiter in air. We have 1, 2, 3 in water. We have Mars, Saturn, and Pluto all in water. I'm pretty sure I'm right on there. And then in fire, we've got ascendant, Mercury, and the moon. So kind of earthy and fiery and watery. We're all pretty equal. So on that level, so I would really kind of say maybe deficiency in air, because everything else is kind of equal. Maybe we go a little heavier with, the sun, the moon, and the ascendant. So let's see, moon and ascendant, so it'd be a little heavier fire, maybe sun, a little bit more earth. So maybe earthy and kind of fiery. But then what really jumps out, when you're measuring this is, again, the low air. And it's not a personal planet in air either. So it's a farther out, it's the one that's there for a year, right? It's Jupiter. If he had a personal planet, if the sun or Venus or something, then it would be a little heavier weight. But so it's kind of no air. So to me, that would be like this person could easily get stuck in earthy stuff, like to have lots of pleasures, would easily get a sweet tooth or, alcohol, and then gain weight because of the earth, the emphasis with the sun and Venus and in earth signs, and they're conjunct as well. So we're going to have, I'm going to eat what I'm going to eat. I like this. I like my pie, my bourbon on it, whatever. I like this feeling I get from this, whatever. And then Mercury, look, it's weird degree. It's a critical degree in fire sign 2929. Interesting. It's the end of Sagittarius. So it's just almost wanting it so much, wanting to be a bit more disciplined, but he can't. I think that Mercury is like, it's like, yeah, I'll go on my diet tomorrow. Yeah, right. It's just at the end, it's like you just can't do it. You can't. You need like a wife or somebody just whipping the shit out of you, just like standing behind making you, because with that Mercury like that, it never gonna do it. Okay, what else about Elvis? So low air. He needs to be expanded in a good way. The spiritual side, I think, when somebody doesn't have, the air quality, they can't expand their mind. And that's when people tend to, mind expanding experiences. They want that dopamine high. They want that next high, that next hit, that next, oh yeah. Oh, and if you don't get it, it's like a deficiency. So bringing that back down to a spiritual level, having, and again, it's not religious, it's not dogma, it's not stand up, sit down, sing this song. It's having that real connection with whatever God is to you. It's something greater than yourself that you are a part of. And it's something that's there all the time. And it's different for everyone, but it's a spiritual or mystical route. And somebody that doesn't have this, you can see how he just burned out and like so many, right? Hendrix, John Belushi, Jim Morrison, Janis Joplin, given to their own devices, they just burned out. They didn't have the discipline there. I almost wanted to, but it didn't quite happen. Okay, so we could just go on and on, but I'm going to go into the transits next. But just to synopsis this for you, look for either the dominant element that might be excessive or something that might be low, or both, and kind of put in some of those concepts of balance. Everything from foods to colors, the colors you wear, the colors you paint your house in, the colors that you have your decor around you. See what your constitution is saying, and support those excesses or deficiencies in your environment, with your clothes, with how you put things in your environment, what you read, who you hang around with, things that you smell, the way your front door faces, the way your light comes in or doesn't come in your house, how you cook your food, what type of pets you have, if you have pets. All of those are the little nuances that I didn't really mention. The type of music you're listening to. Just a couple things about a little bit more of that before we go on this. I mentioned major and minor keys, and if you don't know a lot about music, a minor key has a much more sad tone, the minor keys there. And then as they get more minor, they get more tragic sounding. Neil Young, Joni Mitchell, people that wail, and different types of music invoke different responses to people. Major key music is very happy, upbeat, a lot of the early rock and roll and music, some of the real light type of uplifting gospel. The keys and the keys of the song are very important as well. Sometimes you may like certain keys better than others, the sound of that. So getting a little bit understanding of that is really cool. And the way music is played. I mean, if it was retuned to 528, that would make even more of a difference. All right, what else did I want to tell you? Superfoods. So we talked about some of the nutrients in foods that have, nutrients or mineral rich. You want also think of superfoods, the different superfoods that are out there. Everything from blue-green algae and chlorella to sprouts, fresh, vegetable juice, good supplements that have a good mineral profile. I still like the tangy tangerine. I like Mega Hydrate for all the antioxidant profile. What else is there? I think, oh, the light. Sometimes if you need more light, to increase that, again, the infrared red lights are phenomenal. Full spectrum lighting, the regular incandescent bulbs, and ditch all the LEDs and fluorescent bulbs that have that blue light. Getting the lighting inside of your house is very, very important. And then the electromagnetic fields too. That's definitely a huge factor. We really need to all go back to Ethernet cables and turn off the Wi-Fi definitely at night, because these frequencies, affect the runnings of all of these things. Okay, until we meet again, we will see you all next week. All right, bye for now.